From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Plenty of conversations happening in the next 2 hours. We're going to start with the FTC launching an investigation into tech companies over the risks AI chatbots pose to kids. We're going to talk with a pediatrician about how parents can keep their children safe online. Then it's all about the budget with major deadlines, both national and the state. We're discussing what it could mean if Lansing and DC do not come up with a budget. And finally, looking for a different outcome. The last time the Lions took on Baltimore, the outcome was not pretty. What the players and Coach Campbell are saying about tonight's game on Monday Night Football. Well, today we are expecting to learn more from the family of the 5-year-old boy killed in a hyperbaric explosion as they're filing a lawsuit. The lawsuit from Figer Law is seeking more than $100 million in damages from the Oxford Center in Troy. 4 people, including the center CEO, are facing charges for the boy's death. In December, a judge is expected to rule if there's enough evidence for that case to go on to trial. Well, Detroit police are looking for a hit-and-run driver this morning. We're told the driver took off after hitting a teen on a motorbike. This happened on the west side near 7 Mile and Archdale. At last check, the teen is still in critical condition. Police say they need help from you.
We hope to get tips and information from the public. We need some help and some assistance. So please, if you know anything, say something, call it in. 1-800-SPEAK-UP or Words TV. Any and all information, we need help to solve that.
The police are still working to get a description of the vehicle that fled the scene. Let's take a live look at the White House now. President Trump is set to make a big announcement on autism later today. Several reports say he may be linking autism in children to the use of Tylenol during pregnancy. The American College of Obstetricians say there is no clear proof Tylenol causes autism. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said his agency would decide the cause of autism by September.
I think it's going to be a very important news conference, and we want things to take effect immediately. You know, if there's a question, even if there's a question, you just do it, right? But great research has been done.
Well, according to the president's public schedule on the White House website, the press conference is scheduled for 4 p.m. this afternoon. We'll have much more for you tonight at 5 o'clock. Well, taking a live look at Baltimore, Maryland this morning. In just 12 hours, the Detroit Lions facing off against the Ravens on Monday Night Football. The Lions are looking to build on their big win over the Bears last week, but they remember their last matchup with the Ravens in October of 23 when they lost 38-6, and the camera deciding where it's going to go there. The team says they need to start strong and expect a tough physical game. Kickoff is at 8:15. Later in the show, we're going to hear from Coach Campbell and the players about their plans for the game. Okay, 8:03 here on Monday morning. The Federal Trade Commission has launched an investigation into social media and AI companies over concerns about the safety of kids and teens using chatbots as friends or advisors. The FTC has sent letters to big names like Alphabet, Meta, and OpenAI asking what they are doing to protect young users. This comes after worries some chatbots have given dangerous advice about drugs, alcohol, and eating disorders. The companies say they are adding new safety features to help parents monitor teens and block harmful conversations. But parents also need to talk with their kids about the risks of using these chatbots. So we're joined now by Dr. Tiffany Widener. She's a pediatrician with Children's Hospital of Michigan. Thank you so much for coming in on such an important topic.
No problem.
First of all, how do you open this conversation with parents about this? Because I think a lot of people are seeing AI now as a tool and they're using it, but in some ways, as we've seen in recent months, it can't be a good thing.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for us as pediatricians is really to try to have an open conversation, figure out what parents know, and we also take the standpoint of talking to the child, which is something that we really encourage our parents to do, because just like the FTC is having problems really trying to figure out how we can get this problem under control, children are a lot wiser than we are as adults.
Right.
They're using the technology. So the biggest thing, honestly, is to know what they're doing so that we can really start the conversation there.
It must be frustrating for you because this must be similar to Dr. Google, but you know, with kids now.
Definitely.
Okay.
And so it's scary. Technology has its pluses and minuses. We know that we love the fact that we have information at our fingertips, but the problem
Do you
is,
love that?
the problem is when it goes unchecked,
Yeah.
and you really don't have the foundation to gain an understanding appropriately of the information. So that's the problem that we're having with different forms of AI that we're using these days.
It seems like, and I am in no way in shape a doctor at all, but almost everything you do is nuanced, right?
Oh, definitely.
Right? So, but you can't apply that when you're on Google.
No. No. And so the thing is that Google can be a lot scarier sometimes than what's wrong. So for example, a family comes in and the child has a cough and they come in thinking the kid has lung cancer.
It says this is fatal.
Yeah, they're gonna die. So, and of course you'd be concerned.
Right.
So the problem is being able to kind of check that information and really go with the facts and the information that's presenting itself. And that's the problem with AI and what the FTC is having issues with is as we've opened up this world, we don't have the checks and boundaries that really apply and are needed for our children.
Yeah, so I know you've experienced this with adults. Have you seen yet teens coming in or even younger kids who have used AI or using the web to self-diagnose?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Definitely. And kids are using different social media platforms just as we are. So just as the ads are kind of targeting our search use, things that we have looked for. And I know when I'm on social media, there are things about skincare, there are things about weight loss and dieting, because those are the things that I'm thinking about and worrying about. And it's the same way. The ads are targeting our children just as well. So I'm having kids come in asking me about the newest face wash and skincare that they've seen because AI told them that it's the best thing for their skin. I'm having kids come in asking a lot of different things, and because we have that rapport and that relationship, they feel comfortable enough to bring those conversations up and tell me where they really got the information.
Well, and I've got to bring that up, though.
Yeah.
It sounds, I just met you now, and you're already relatable, and I love you, and we're going to be best friends.
Thank you.
But not every doctor has that rapport
No.
with their patients, especially young kids. So how key is that to just be able to build that trust?
It's honestly the biggest thing and biggest tool that we have as pediatricians. As a physician, one of my biggest jobs is to create a picture and kind of drive the forest based off of the history that I'm able to attain from my families.
Cut through the BS a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the biggest thing with that is being able to establish a rapport. And a part of what I do is try to make sure that I'm relatable, have open-ended questions, which is something that my parents sometimes struggle with their teenagers, especially.
Yep.
But when you're having those open-ended conversations that are non-judgmental, it makes it a lot easier to establish rapport and keep that open mind.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the real serious stuff, because we have seen AI, unfortunately, kind of help guide kids through suicide, too. So we'll talk about how we can discuss that when we come back.
Definitely.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. We're talking with Dr. Tiffany Widener, a pediatrician with Children's Hospital of Michigan. We've talked about AI and Dr. Google, but there's also this extra layer, and my heart kind of sank a little bit when I read these first headlines about AI being used in assistance of suicide or helping kids kind of research that. I thought there would be better protections in, but you know, if it's online, AI is going to give it to you, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
AI isn't a person; it's just mining all the data that's already there.
Exactly.
How do you feel about that when you've got such a serious topic that kids have instant access to? I guess they already have, but AI makes it so much easier for them to see it now.
Because now it's at their fingertips, and it's so easy. It's just a simple, this is my question, and it takes you down that rabbit hole.
Right.
And that's the unsettling aspect of AI. So, of course, as a pediatrician, knowing that the patients that I love and I tell my patients and my parents, they're my most precious cargo, right? That's how we think of children. Right. And so it is very unsettling as a pediatrician to know that children have access, and this information is so easy to kind of fall upon.
Right. It seems like one of those things, though, and the FTC, as we talked about earlier, is launching this investigation to get a better understanding, but there are only so many safeguards that we can put in place, right? There are millions of things online that we don't want our kids to see, and this is just another example of it, right? So how do we start to look for some of these warning signs, these red flags, these things that we know or should know when it comes to our kids and what they're looking up online?
The biggest thing is to have those open conversations with your children.
That seems to be a recurring theme here.
Definitely. Yeah. So if we guide the conversation as adults, we're not cool, right? And we seem to, children are wise enough to know if we're trying to judge them and the things that they're doing, and then they will naturally withdraw, and they won't give you the information that you need. So the biggest thing is just to say, hey, how are you using AI? I know about it, I know a little bit about it, but how are you using it on a day-to-day basis? Those are one of the biggest, that's one of the biggest things to ask as a parent, to open the conversation in terms of what is going on.
So not the pointed question then? Not, are you looking to harm yourself?
You should ask that in a way, a lot of times.
But kind of don't dance around it, but kind of ease into it.
Yeah, and so in terms of figuring out what they're doing and how they're utilizing the internet and AI resources, the biggest thing is to start with that open-ended question and then narrow it down. And of course, as with typical like mental health concerns, you want to have conversations with your children on a regular basis, figure out what those changes are. If you're noticing that your child is withdrawing, they're no longer as excited about different activities that they used to love. They're spending all their time in the room behind closed doors, and you don't know what's going on. Those are things as a parent that should heighten your awareness and link those spidey senses in so you can say, oh, we need to have more conversation.
You know what I find interesting too is that, you know, when I was growing up, and probably when you were growing up too, mental health always had that stigma around it, right? And I found now, after spending some time in some high schools and junior highs talking to kids about mental health issues, they are more open to talk about it, which I think is great.
I love it.
But does that then mean that it's not uncool to have that conversation, and maybe as a parent approaching it? Because I'm more hesitant because that's the way I grew up. But do you think kids now are more willing to discuss things?
They are, but the issue is that the parents are not as willing to have those conversations.
So it's our fault then.
So we need to have the conversations and be willing to have those conversations and be realistic about the things that kiddos are exposed to these days. So the issue is that mental health is in our face. It's always there. Actually, one of the uses for AI these days is that we're using it for therapy to establish some of those relationships for kind of simple things. They're not trying to address self-harm and suicidal behavior with a ChatGPT therapist. But really just having and taking the time to have that conversation and be comfortable about it. The issue is when parents dance around things, it makes it more awkward and more difficult to have the conversation.
Have you talked to parents about this? Are these conversations that are happening in your rooms?
They're starting to come up. We usually open up and talk about screen time because that's one of the biggest things that we're told that we need to address. And it went from going monitor how much time they're on the screens to monitor the quality, because the time doesn't necessarily matter.
Now it's more about the content.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So having those conversations, and my biggest thing is talking about things like screen-free zones. Are we having, is everybody on their phone or tablet during dinner? Or are we taking the opportunities to have real conversations?
Right.
Those are big things that sometimes we're missing because we're all stuck on our screens.
I feel like parenting is just so much harder now. I have conversations with my parents, you know, it's like, you just, I feel like I'm a teenager again saying, you just don't get it, Mom.
And it's difficult because every child is different, right? And so I find some of my parents, especially my first-time parents, oh, let me find this book. This is perfect. It'll talk about my kid. It tells me everything that I need to know, but they don't know your kid.
Right.
And it's the parents' job to really gain that relationship with their own child so that they know how to really tailor the information, tailor those conversations.
Yeah, and trust your instincts.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Widener, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to
You're
meet
going to be
you
a
as
regular.
well.
You can come on out. But you're across the street. Doesn't take long to get here.
Not at all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, well, we are less than now 6 hours from the official start of fall, but the temps not quite feeling like it just yet. Ashley Barrissey live in studio to talk about when you might need that umbrella yet again today. Plus, we're kind of taking a live look here at the Mackinac Bridge. You can kind of see it through some of the morning fog. Next, the Michigan Supreme Court set to review a major case regarding what's underneath that bridge. Welcome back, everybody. 8:17 here on your Monday morning, taking a live look at the Mackinac Bridge. But the big news is about what's underneath of it. The Michigan Supreme Court is set to review a major case about the Enbridge Line 5 pipeline. This comes after the highest court agreed to hear an appeal from opponents who claim the Michigan Public Service Commission failed to fully consider environmental impacts to the Great Lakes when it approved the permit back in 2023. Now, back in February, a Michigan Court of Appeals upheld that approval, and this past June, the U.S. Supreme Court agreed to decide whether the case belongs in federal or in state court. Well, you know, we hear a lot about Line 5, but do you actually know what it is? Line 5 is a huge pipeline that carries oil and gas underneath the Straits of Mackinac, running through Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. There are two pipes about 20 inches wide, moving 22 million gallons of oil and gas every single day. It was built in 1953, but people worry about safety, especially after a big oil spill in 2010 that caused a lot of damage. Now there are lawsuits and debates about whether Line 5 should keep running under the straits. The company wants to build a tunnel to replace part of the pipeline. No word yet when the state high court will review that case. We did an entire special investigation into Line 5. You can watch it right here on Local 4 Plus and on clickondetroit.com. Now, guess who is here? My BFF, Ashley Barrissey.
Guess
Hi,
who's
Ash.
Back
Right?
again. Hey.
I'm thinking of a JT song, but I can't say the words out loud. You know what you're bringing back?
Nick, gotta
Well,
keep this
it's a Monday.
G-rated around
I
here.
know. It's a family show.
Oh,
It's a
well,
family
yeah.
show.
It's nice to be back with you.
Okay, so forecast fall hits in about, what, 6 hours at this point, a little less than that?
Yeah.
All right, and umbrellas maybe today?
Yeah, kind of off and on.
Okay.
So it's not a washout, but certainly it's just the inconvenient rain that you get a passing shower and then it's kind of gloomy, or you just have enough moisture left over, it's a little misty. And so, yeah, we're going to be tracking that throughout the day. And so we have that warm front that's been lifting, which will usher in some warmer air that you'll notice by tomorrow. Today, a couple degrees warmer than yesterday, but tomorrow we're flirting with 80 before we get into the more seasonal stretch. Now, we will officially be in fall this afternoon, 2:19 p.m. We'll talk more about that in a moment. I do want to show you that we've had a couple more pockets of rain developing, as you see on Exact Track 4D. So that's going to be inching close to Washtenaw County. Still has that northeasterly motion, likely moving into Livingston County as the morning rolls on. So our rain chances, well, we didn't have any of this in the forecast last week because we were in such a dry stretch, and now every day this week we're holding on to at least an isolated chance. And so the bulk of this will come through the work week as we'll be in the off and on shower pattern. But with the overnight clouds, that served as a blanket keeping us pretty mild this morning. So most of us waking up well into the 60s, and we'll be about 10 degrees above that for the afternoon high. So off and on shower chances. Worth mentioning that late this afternoon into the evening, we could even hear a few rumbles of thunder. You could get a heavy downpour or maybe a stronger wind gust, but with 50-mile-per-hour gusts, kind of the forecasted range for these storms, that would keep it below the threshold of severe weather. So 75 for the afternoon high, but you could have a little rumble of thunder. Now, high temperature trend. There's that bump I talked about for tomorrow, and then we fall into the low 70s. And, you know, some folks might be itching for that type of weather. It's apple orchard cider mill season, and we're going to be bringing you more conducive temperatures to those activities. We just want to keep some of the rain out of the way for outdoor activities, though we need the rain. That's like the catch-22. So we do have a few scattered showers in the forecast throughout the afternoon and evening, off and on. Want to mention our first freeze climatology, not because we have 32-degree temperatures in the forecast, thankfully. Yeah, but this date in 1974 was our first freeze of the season, the earliest one that we've had. October 25th is where we typically average out, but you might recall last year, we had to wait a while to see that first freeze. November 21st was the latest that we've had on record, and that was just last year. Now, the nice part with the freeze is usually that helps take care of some of these fall allergies. So if you're a fall allergy sufferer, maybe you're looking forward to an earlier freeze. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of folks don't look forward to the dwindling daylight. I can say that, you know. And so with this being the autumnal equinox, nearly all latitudes get equal amounts of daylight and darkness today. We'll kind of be hovering right around that for the next 4 days, but the 26th of September is when we finally fall below that threshold and have less than 12 hours of daylight, so more darkness than daylight. But today is the equinox at 2:19 p.m., officially in the fall season. So what does that mean for fall colors? Because I've had a lot of questions. We had the cooler snap, then we warmed up, and then we were really dry, and all of these are factors, right? Well, the fall forecasted colors for peak: UP, northern lower, October 6th, southeastern Michigan about 2 weeks into October. And so I think with the moisture that we're starting to gain right now, hopefully that will help some of these colors pop as we get closer to that point in October. Because last year we had a really dry start to September, and I was really pessimistic with the colors, and then we ended up turning it all around. So hopefully that's in the forecast this year as well. Speaking of the forecast, though, 7 days, 70s, overnight lows 55 to 60. So you likely could give the air conditioning a break and a drier weekend ahead.
Okay. You know me, I'm an eternal optimist, so.
Right.
I want to complain about the rain, but we need it. Like September was one of our driest in a while, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, a huge deficit that we had. But when I was comparing year to year, last year we were even drier for the first half of September than this year. Yeah. So that's why I said there's still hope, because we ended up with some nice color last year. It just took some time for that to pop.
All right. Thanks, Ash.
Yeah.
Glad you're back here. We're going to come back in just a few minutes with a Local 4 update. Then we're going to head for a showdown, or are we? A shutdown showdown in both Lansing and D.C. A discussion on what it could mean for Michiganders. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli with the Local 4 News Update. The family of the 5-year-old boy killed in a hyperbaric explosion in Troy is now filing a lawsuit. That lawsuit is through Figer Law. It's expected to seek more than $100 million in damages from the Oxford Center. 4 people, including the center's CEO, are facing charges for the boy's death. In December, a judge is expected to rule if there is enough evidence in that case to go to trial. Over on Local 4 Plus, there's another 90 minutes of Local 4 Live coming your way. We're talking about a showdown in Lansing, what a roundtable of local movers and shakers is saying about how a shutdown could impact Michiganders. And then we're going to hear from Coach Dan Campbell and the players over at the Detroit Lions, what they're saying about tonight's Monday Night Football game against the Ravens, and the new program aimed at bringing more Detroit high school students to Wayne State University. All that coming up on Local 4 Live. Make sure you switch over to Local 4 Plus.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. A lot happening in the world of politics over the past week. Here in Michigan, lawmakers have just over a week now to pass a budget to avoid a government shutdown. And nationally, the Charlie Kirk murder is still top of mind for everybody. Jason Colthorpe gathered a group together to talk about all these key issues this weekend on Flashpoint.
Joining us at the table this morning, Chad Livengood from the Detroit News. Orlando Bailey is the executive director at Outlier Media, and Emily Lawler from the Detroit Free Press is here. Guys, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Chad, let's start with the budget. What's holding this up? I know that's kind of a general question, but what's the holdup here?
Well, months ago, Governor Whitmer wanted to link a budget deal with a road funding deal, a long-term plan, try to get to this sort of almost mythical number of $3 billion more per year. And she put out some proposals in February, but I don't think we've even heard her really articulate those proposals in a long, long time. That essentially she wants to have a couple different taxes that don't hit road users.
And she could have jumped back into it this week. She had an opportunity. unanimity, but still said, no, legislators, you got to do this.
Yeah, she's still trying to get the legislature to come up with something, but no one wants to really tackle this head on. House Republicans came up with, okay, Governor, we'll get you a budget that links to it, and they came up with $3 billion of cuts. Of course, Senate Democrats said no way, no how, and the governor is backing her fellow Democrats, but no one really is actually coming up with a plan. Harken back to 2019, we had a similar showdown like this, where Governor Whitmer was pushing for that 45% per gallon gas tax increase. She backed off within the last week, unlinked the road funding deal to roads, and we got a budget signed into law right on the deadline on September 30th. The governor then turned around and borrowed $3.5 billion, and we got all the road construction we've had the last 4 years. But nonetheless, I mean, this is where we're headed to sort of a very much a deja vu moment in Lansing.
Emily, the big difference is Matt Hall's around this time as Speaker, and sometimes it feels, am I wrong when I assume it's almost like he wants to break the wheel here? He's going to get his budget, even though he's dealing with a Democratic Senate, Democratic governor.
Well, I think certainly he's had a lot of power in this triad. So I think certainly he's exercised a lot of that. But I think that, ultimately the Senate and governor are 2 out of the 3 legs of the stool here. I think they can exercise some power. And I think, frankly, they're a little bit put off by the budget that he introduced, certainly trying to present more of a united front. The Senate's got their own budget. But I have a
way far apart.
Way far apart.
$6 billion apart?
Way far apart. Way far apart. And I also I think that we're sort of in a territory here where we're going to be looking at a continuation budget and have to look at a roads plan further down the road.
So you don't think there will be a shutdown? You think they'll just pass a continuation?
That's my bold prediction to the day.
Interesting. Orlando, what do you think? Because I think a lot of people are thinking here that the shutdown is imminent. It's just a matter of how long it might last.
Yeah, I think folks, especially in Detroit communities, need a government that works, right? And with the shutdown looming, nobody is excited about it. There are many departments, there are many things that are at threat with a shutdown looming, including schools and school lunch, the Department of Health and Human Services and the services that they deliver. Detroiters in particular want a government to figure this out and a government to stay open.
Yeah, and the Michigan School Meals Program, very important to districts like Detroit.
Yeah.
Let me ask about something that happened this week. Chad, I'll start with you. J.D. Vance in Howell this week and offered the governor to send in troops to Detroit. What do you think the likelihood is? And I'll ask everybody how you think this could be received if it actually happens.
Well, Governor Whitmer didn't say anything. It was complete crickets about it. But it's just not like something she's asking for. Mayor Mike Duggan has said we don't need this. I mean, Duggan has tried to go out of his way to say nice things about Trump's U.S. attorney in Detroit and say, hey, he's doing a good job and he's cracking down on some of this crime and whatnot, and just to say we got things under control, but also rolling out the data. And the data very clearly shows we are at a 60-year low in homicides, and violent crime is the lowest it's been in decades, and not nearly the crisis that we have experienced as a city in the past years. And so still not acceptable by anybody's means and definition, but trying to basically pour some cold water on the administration's hunt for the next city.
And they're doing it with stats in Orlando. They're talking about possibly going to Memphis, which they cite as the most violent crime in 2024. But Detroit did have the most violent crime rate, second most, I should say, behind Memphis. How would this be received if it started to get closer?
I wonder what it would have been like if that speech was given in front of a Detroit audience, right? Yeah. And so I'm thinking about all of the levers that have been pulled within the last couple of years around community violence intervention, community policing. The chief walks the block every Wednesday. How that might be received in Detroit. I don't think it would be received in Detroit. Some of the earliest memories that my mother talks about is during the 1967 rebellion when tanks were riding up and down the streets of Detroit. It's not a fond memory, and I think a lot of Detroiters remember that. A lot of Detroiters are in support of CBI and the community partnership with the police. And so I don't think it's a go for Detroiters.
And Emily, I think the language was key too. It was an offer, whereas like Chicago, oh, we're going in. There's a difference there.
Yeah, and I think that with Gretchen Whitmer cultivating a relationship with the White House, this is exactly the kind of thing she's got to be hoping to prevent, right? tonight. You know, that relationship has already been leveraged a little bit with the Selfridge achievement, but you know, you'd have to think that certainly one of her main goals in building that relationship with the administration is to prevent something exactly like this.
It appears, let me switch gears to another topic. It appears we're going to get at least one debate in the Detroit mayoral race. But behind the scenes, many outlets have been frustrated, lamented a little bit that they've had difficulty getting these two candidates in a joint forum or debate style setting. Orlando, what do you make of that? Is this just plain strategy? But it feels like it's happening on both sides.
You know, I feel like it's a game of chicken, right? And I feel like, you know, the campaigns are trying to do what's best for the campaign and not for the city of Detroit and this community. I happen to believe that the candidates should have a debate in the city of Detroit proper, in front of Detroit.
Many of them, more than one.
Yeah, and right now, we don't have anything like that on the schedule, and I think that's a disgrace.
Emily?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting topic. Certainly there's some political strategy involved here when candidates are making these decisions about appearances. But I also think there's a little bit more time, more room for movement. Things could shake out differently than what we're seeing today.
And Chet, that's kind of what I thought along the way. Like, if Sheffield looks at the numbers here versus Kinloch, she could do the quote-unquote Biden in the basement for a couple months if she really wanted to.
This is her race to lose. And this also follows a trend we've seen with other front runners in other races in recent years. The last three elections for governor, we had one debate in each of them. The last, I believe, 3 Senate races, we also had one debate or barely debate sometimes. I mean, the front runners avoid these things like the plague. They don't want to do anything that's going to possibly spoil their momentum. And voters are, by the last weekend in September, Detroiters will start getting absentee ballots. And voting will begin in earnest. So if you're already starting to bank a bunch of early votes, stepping out on a debate stage in mid-October runs a lot of risk.
Last topic, let me talk about what we've seen in the wake of the Charlie Kirk murder in a way where WDIV doesn't get taken off the air for some reason. I'm going to start with a quote from Donald Trump in 2020, which was talking about cancel culture, which said, "To make decent Americans live in fear of being fired, expelled, shamed, humiliated, and driven from society as we know it." Of course, that was when he and others were being tossed off social media and censored in a way, and now we're seeing people targeted for saying things about Charlie Kirk in the wake of his death, and now Jimmy Kimmel yanked off the air by ABC for inferring, incorrectly I might add, that the shooter was a member of MAGA. Emily, let me start with you, and leave this as open-ended as you want to answer this, but are you worried about free speech at this moment?
You know, I think there's been kind of a shift to talking about cancel culture, kind of that's been a buzzword among liberal groups, to, as my colleagues at USA Today reported recently, consequence culture. And there is some sort of, you know, I think some threat that there's some implicit things that could happen if people are speaking out about this. We saw J.D. Vance, for example, calling on people to call their employers if they see things that are inflammatory. So I think that's a little bit of a new angle, but free speech is just such a deeply held American value on all sides of the aisle.
By Charlie Kirk himself, we should point out.
By Charlie Kirk himself, that I think that people are also kind of galvanizing their interest in free speech at this moment.
I hate to do it. I have less than a minute for each of you to drop a thought here. Orlando?
You know, I would say that the tenets of our Constitution, including free speech, have always been fragile. And what we're seeing right now feels unprecedented. I've not seen in my lifetime a chair of the FCC threaten to take broadcast licenses. So more to come. I'm waiting.
And this could have been a business decision, but when the FCC said that we could do it the easy way or hard way, Chad, that kind of made it a little dicey.
I mean, this device right here is just as powerful as any broadcaster now. And why do we still have a Federal Communications Commission to begin with? Is, I think, a question that is open for debate that Congress really ought to be thinking about in this day and age. This was built for a different society 70 years ago that doesn't exist anymore.
Gang, thanks so much for your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Well, you can watch all of Flashpoint right now over at clickondetroit.com. We're going to come back in a minute with a check of your national headlines, plus getting a live look over in New York City, where a highly anticipated meeting expected to happen between or for the UN General Assembly today. We'll take you there next. Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a live look over Washington, D.C. this morning, where the debate over free speech is escalating. Since the death of Charlie Kirk, suspension of ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, and new rules at the Pentagon, Democrats and Republicans are starting to raise concerns over what free speech means. This morning, pressing questions from both sides of the aisle about free speech in America, as tens of thousands said goodbye to the murdered conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a public memorial in Arizona.
I will miss him so much because our marriage and our family were beautiful.
Many, including President Trump, honoring Kirk's commitment to promoting free speech.
It's the right and inheritance of every free American, the greatest legacy of the Enlightenment, and among the most treasured achievements of civilization. We will defend it at all costs.
Now, in the wake of Kirk's assassination, there are new concerns about censorship thrust to the forefront after ABC indefinitely pulled its late-night host Jimmy Kimmel off air after his comments about Republicans' response to Kirk's murder. That led to criticism from the FCC chairman and suggestions of potential action involving the network's license. President Trump has since made similar comments, lawmakers in both parties weighing in.
The FCC was wrong to weigh in, and I'll fight any attempt by the government to get involved with speech.
Censorship and what we're seeing from the federal government only serves to further divide us and make us less safe.
It comes amid new Defense Department restrictions that journalists can no longer gather or report information, even unclassified, without authorization from the government or risk losing their press credentials. The National Press Club calling it a direct assault on independent journalism. While Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth argued the press does not run the Pentagon, the people do. Well, that free speech fight comes as world leaders gather for the UN General Assembly in New York City. Among them, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, who says he is meeting with President Trump during the assembly. The meeting comes as tensions rise between the U.S. and Russia, with President Trump promising to defend the Baltic states and Poland if Russia attacks. Recently, Russian jets flew over Estonia and drones entered Polish and Romanian airspace. Since both countries are part of NATO, an attack on them is considered an attack on all. The UN Security Council is holding an emergency meeting at Estonia's request. Russia denies its jets entered Estonia airspace on Friday. Well, fall is just a few hours away, but Mother Nature does not appear to be ready just yet. A live look over Belleville this morning. Ashley's going to come back in 90 seconds with a look at warmer temperatures. Plus, make sure you keep that umbrella handy this week. .46 here on your Monday. Let's take a live look over Mackinac Island this morning. This is producer Mary's favorite live shot. She loves going here. Any reason to get a Mackinac story, she's going to find it. Wow. They're celebrating being named the best spot for fall, and they're doing it by celebrating the main selling point up there, the fudge. Now get this. Kids have a chance to make their own fudge and enjoy some fudge trivia. This is happening October 2nd to the 4th. Ashley Barcy is here. If you could make your own fudge, what would you add in? So fudge plus peanut butter,
Well, I'd want it to be
raspberry?
like a peanut butter fudge.
Oh, okay.
And then if we could do, some kind of spin-off like a Reese's, or like the chocolate peanut butter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're a big Reese's fan then?
I think that's the best like flavor combo, chocolate peanut butter. And then like the second best might be like a strawberry banana.
Oh.
I don't know, what is your favorite combo?
Like a chocolate raspberry or chocolate orange.
Interesting.
That's really good.
You're snazzy.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, but that sounds like so much fun for the kids. I feel like my kids would love doing something.
I think any kid would love that, right?
Absolutely.
Especially getting there, like they're gonna get messy. They're gonna get fudge everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's take them there to do it.
Right. Hose them down after.
That's right. Before you get in the car,
Yeah.
a little power washer.
I know. But, actually that would be a great time. We're going to talk more about the changing of the colors and when it peaks the farther north you go. But that'll be a great time to take kind of that color tour up north.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's always right.
Oh, thanks. tell my kids and my husband that. Now, here's a look at your weather story. So it's officially going to be fall at 2:19 p.m. How about that? Off and on rain chances all week. But before we groan about it, boy, the rain is needed. We have such a significant deficit, more than 1.5 inches throughout the month. So we need to be adding more to that. And that also helps with those fall colors. And then we're in a pretty seasonal stretch. We'll get a bump in temperatures tomorrow before falling into the low 70s. But let's track the tropics, as I do want to show you. We just got an update from the National Hurricane Center that Gabrielle has now become a major hurricane. So rapidly intensifying now with winds at 120 miles per hour. And even with the movement that was to the northwest, now it's already beginning that shift to the north before it'll push to the northeast. So this is not going to make direct impact on the U.S. as far as landfall. Now, of course, you could have the rip currents and a little bit of a surge with the water, but overall, not an incredibly impactful tropical system for the eastern seaboard. So satellite and radar, we have some inconvenient rain that still could be impactful for your outdoor plans across town. We have that warm front lifting, which will usher in the warmer air through tomorrow before that chasing cold front with that low will bring us back to reality. But ExactTrack 4D showing that we are picking up some showers in that southwestern tier of Washtenaw County. So now just starting to inch into Ann Arbor. But if you're joining us from Ann Arbor, Chelsea, Dexter area, just note that that rain is heading your way very soon, and that'll continue to push to the northeast. So that could impact Oakland County and then push its way up into the thumb. Temperatures right now in the 60s, so we have low to upper 60s across the area. So pretty comfortable start temperature-wise, but even this afternoon, not overly hot, 75, and will be a little warmer tomorrow before we start to see those temperatures slide. And so, I mean, if you're looking at the silver lining with all of this, you can save some on the energy bill when it comes to your air conditioning, but you could be dodging a raindrop or two. So before you open up the windows completely this afternoon, just note we do have some rain in the forecast. So we slide in low 70s from Wednesday, Thursday, and beyond, which is where we should be. This is what I'm talking about. Very hard to kind of pinpoint exactly where these scattered showers just kind of bubble up and then they'll fizzle out as we go into tonight. But if you were to see a storm develop, it could bring you a gusty wind or even a little heavy rain. First freeze, it's time to talk about that, whether you like it or not. But the earliest that we've ever had a freeze on record here across Metro Detroit was September 22nd. This date in 1974. We averaged closer to October 25th. And if you are a fall allergy sufferer, maybe you look forward to this freeze because that usually helps with that. But the latest last year, November 21st. So we're losing some daylight time each and every day. This is the autumnal equinox, which means nearly equal amounts of daylight and darkness at all latitudes. We'll kind of hover there for a few days, but come the 26th, that's when we start to see more darkness than daylight. So that fall color tour, if you are heading up north, we're anticipating the peak color to be right around October 6th. So that's why I said that weekend right before the 6th, that would be the prime time to be heading up towards Mackinac. Now, southeastern Michigan will probably see that about a week later, October 13th, peak. And I mean, right now we're already starting to see some of that color change, but the leaves are pretty crispy. We need some of this rain to help with that. So we're going to have rounds of it off and on through the end of the work week and then a drier weekend ahead, mid-70s.
That's a lot of rain in the forecast, though.
It is, but it's chances here and there. You know, it's not like we have this, tropical system parking over us, and, which we've had those before, right? And you're like, oh. So yeah, but we really do need. We just got so spoiled. I mean, it rained on me when I was outside at my son's flag football game yesterday, and the week before we were getting sunburned. I'm like, what happened? Like we're just not used to it. Like that switch happens so quickly.
The other parents are looking at you like it's your fault.
Absolutely. As I'm there with my Channel 4 umbrella, I'm like.
I would never blame you for anything.
Yeah, right.
Except almost every day.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Ash. Well, are you ready for some football? A live look over Baltimore this morning, where the Detroit Lions getting ready for Monday Night Football. This camera cannot make up its mind on where it wants to go. All morning long, it's just been there. Finally, there we go. Next, how the moon's current phase, Ashley, could turn the tide in the Lions' favor. Taking a live look at Baltimore this morning, where in less than 12 hours, the Lions will be taking on the Ravens for Monday Night Football. The Lions have a chance to climb to first place in the NFC, a tie in the NFC North, if they can beat the Ravens. It's a week after the Lions dominated the Bears at Ford Field. The last time the Lions took on the Ravens, it wasn't pretty, though. The Lions losing 38-6 in October of 2023. The team says they were outperformed that time, but they are ready for it this time around.
For us, it's just we want to go out there and display what we feel like we can do. I feel like last time we were there, it wasn't us offensively. We just felt like we were off schedule all game, playing from behind, not executing, drop balls, a lot of stuff that we feel like we can be better at. So we just want to go in there and play clean football, execute, communicate. It's gonna be a hostile environment, so it's gonna be good.
And with Lamar and the offense they can start out fast and get hot. So our defense, we're relying on them to play well, and then we got to play well on our part too offensively. We've got a lot of respect for their team and their coaches and the way they've gone about their business for a long time. And I'd like to feel they feel the same way about us. But we got to go in there and prove it and show them that we obviously can hang with them and we're a great team. And in that instance we didn't. So certainly have a little bit to prove this week.
If you look back to 2023. We just I feel like we're really building that culture around here, and now we are 4 or 5 years into it, and I think we've established ourselves as one of those teams, and with that comes expectation, with that comes the standard of physicality every single week, knowing that you're going to get most people's best shot, and so that's we understand that, and we're I think we're more established in our role as a team of where we're at in the NFL right now.
Now, this time around, the Lions say they are ready, as you heard, but Baltimore has a strong offense led by QB Lamar Jackson. Plus, Ravens have a strong ground game and passing offense, averaging more than 40 points a game, something Coach Dan Campbell is aware of and is making sure the team and defense are ready to take on.
We have a group of competitive players and coaches, and I think you just always want to prove your worth no matter who you're playing. And this one happens to be against an outstanding opponent. These guys are in it every year. They've been that way for years. Coach Harbaugh's done an unbelievable job, and it's in prime time, man. And so it's just the perfect storm. And you find out where you're at. You find out where you're at a little bit, and that's a good thing. But anytime you got a chance to go compete and you get to play against the best of the best, man, I mean, this is why you do it. I bring that up again. This is why you do it. This is why. That's why this league is special, man, because it's top tier freaking competition, and it's fun.
Kickoff set for 8:15 tonight, and while the Ravens have an advantage over the Lions, they are a 5-point favorite to win. The Lions might have something on their side too. That's the moon. The moon tonight will be a waxing crescent, and the Detroit Lions are 9-1 when it comes to playing during a waxing crescent moon. I'm sure it's going to play a huge role in tonight's game. So much more in our next hour of Local 4 Live. A new pathway to college for Detroit students. Wayne State guaranteeing admission for qualified DPSED high schoolers. Then we're going to show you a Clinton Township business owner that's helping create trade skill opportunities. Plus, Chief star Travis Kelce is paying the price for what he did on the field. We'll show you what happened and why the NFL says it crossed the line.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Local 4 Live, 9 o'clock on the dot. I'm Nick Monticelli. Let's take a live look at Wayne State University. With a new pathway to college for Detroit students, Wayne State rolling out a program called Warriors on the Rise, guaranteeing admission for qualified DPSED high schoolers. We'll talk about the requirements, those qualifications, and what it means for families across Detroit. And then one business owner and his wife are turning talk into action. They're opening doors for the next generation of skilled workers with a unique earn while you learn approach. And plus, while we're waiting for President Trump expected to make an announcement on autism, his claims on a link between autism and using Tylenol during pregnancy and how medical experts are trying to fight those claims. We're going to start your headlines here as we work to learn more about a man accused of stabbing his ex-wife to death in a Meyer gas station in Shelby Township. This happened yesterday afternoon on Hall Road near Hayes. According to officers, the man and a woman got into a fight which escalated and the woman was stabbed. Officers say the man ran away, leaving their one-year-old baby alone at the gas station. Macomb County deputies caught up to the suspect and arrested him. We're told the baby is safe. That man will soon be facing charges. This story adds to the trend of domestic violence we have seen across Metro Detroit. If you or someone you know is looking for help, you can always reach out to the Michigan Domestic Violence Hotline. That number, 1-866-VOICE-DV. It's confidential, available 24/7. We also have a list of resources for you at our website to click on Detroit.com. Well, today we are expecting to learn more about the family of the 5-year-old boy killed in a hyperbaric explosion who's filing a lawsuit. That lawsuit is through Figer Law. It's expected to seek more than $100 million in damages from the Oxford Center in Troy. 4 people, including the center's CEO, are facing charges for that boy's death. In December, a judge is expected to rule if there is enough evidence for that case to move on to trial. Detroit police on the lookout for a hit-and-run driver this morning. We're told the driver took off after hitting a teen riding a motorbike. This happened on the west side near 7 Mile in Archdale. At last check, the teen is in critical condition. Police say they need help from the community.
We hope to get tips and information from the public. We need some help and some assistance. So please, if you know anything, say something, call it in. 1-800-SPEAK-UP or Words TV. Any and all information, we need help to solve that.
Well, police are still working to get a description of the vehicle that fled that scene. Let's take a live look at Southfield traffic right now. There is good news for drivers. Gas prices are staying steady. Right now, the state's average for a gallon of regular gas is $3.16. That's up 11 cents from 1 week ago, but 10 cents cheaper than last month. Wayne County drivers may find it under the average by a few cents, but prices in Oakland County are higher at $3.26. Taking a live look at Baltimore, Maryland this morning. In just 11 hours, the Lions are facing off against the Ravens on Monday Night Football. The Lions are looking to build on their big win over the Bears last week, but they remember their last matchup with the Ravens in October of 2023 when they lost 38-6. The team says they need to start strong and expect a tough physical game. Kickoff is at 8:15 tonight. And don't forget, we will be in the heart of one of the toughest conferences in Michigan high school football this Friday. Clarkston welcomes Rochester Adams in a clash of 3-1. OAA red teams are looking to give themselves an edge in the standings. The Local 4 Game of the Week brought to you by State Champs, Game Time Live, and presented by Hungry Howie's. It, of course, be streamed for free right here on the Local 4 streaming channel, on the app, or on our website at clickondetroit.com. Okay, 9:04 here on Monday. Let's go to Midtown Detroit and the campus of Wayne State University, where they are launching a new program to bring more Detroit high school students on campus. This one is called Warriors on the Rise, and it guarantees automatic admission to DPS-ED students who meet certain qualifications. So what are those requirements? Well, juniors must have a 3.0 GPA or higher and at least 2 credits in the English language, arts, and math. Joining us to talk all about this is Charles Cotton, Wayne State's Vice Provost for Strategic Enrollment, and Erica Matthews-Jackson, a Senior Director at the University. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This is exciting, right? This is awesome. First and foremost, my understanding is that this is an effort to try to get more Detroit kids to the Wayne State campus. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's a great assessment. In addition to that, it's really just to open additional doors for those Detroiters to higher education more broadly.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk more about the qualifications. This 3.0 GPA, pretty easy to attain, not that difficult. What I love about it is that you're not saying you've got to have a 4.6. Like, you can get in the door. Is that kind of the goal?
Absolutely. So we are absolutely a university for access and opportunity, and we want to make sure that students know that higher education is attainable, and it's attainable at Wayne State. So we know that a 3.0 in high school also has a higher likelihood for students to be successful at our university. So that's why that's the threshold. And we do accept students who have less than a 3.0, but for this particular program, that is where we will be able to admit students and let them know a year before they even become a senior in high school that they have a pathway to Wayne State.
I love that you said that, and please don't be mad at me for saying this out loud, but I teach at Oakland, and there's always a phrase on campus that I hear the kids say, you know, C's get degrees too. You know, and it's true, right? So I've always felt that when our enrollment standards are so high that we're knocking kids out and taking away opportunities for them, when in reality, their grades probably would be good enough to get those degrees. We're just stopping them at the front door.
Yeah. So I think the appeal there is that, you know, this program gives those students not only a pathway to Wayne State, but it gives them a lot of preparation to additional collegiate prep, the affiliate ID they're going to be able to ride. public transportation that are benefits to our Wayne State students, attend sporting events and other campus activities, but most importantly have access to some of our academic advisors, do some career mapping. So pretty excited about all the wraparound supports, dual enrollment that those students will be able to take.
Okay. Can you kind of walk through the process then? So I know there are things to do and steps to take. So what are they?
Absolutely. So when students are in their junior year of high school, they will be notified that they are eligible for this program. And then
that happens automatically?
That happens automatically. So it takes the guesswork out for the students. And we've really done a really good job of trying to streamline our admissions process. So all the students have to do is submit their application and work with their high school counselor to get us their official transcripts, and that's it. It makes it very easy and seamless.
That's it? I remember filling out 16 stacks of paperwork to go to college.
Right, and we're waiving their application fee. So again, we're really focused on trying to remove as many barriers as possible.
Yeah, right.
And those students don't have to complete that full-fledged application until they're graduating high school. So upon admittance to the short admissions pathway, we work directly with the district for them to provide all of the eligible students, and then we on our side get those students the invitation to the program. They're then invited to campus for a celebratory event where we walk through for them and
You're throwing us a party too?
We're throwing somewhat of a party, but for them and their guardians and parents, just to learn a little bit more about the widespread of benefits that'll be accessible to those students. And they have about 2 months to opt in. A very brief online form saying, I want to take part in those benefits. That way we're not bugging students who maybe have a different trajectory already mapped out and don't necessarily want to participate at this moment.
Okay, so this is guaranteed admission into the university, but paying for tuition is a totally separate conversation, right? And I know that there are many families who have aspirations, many students who want to go, but you know, paying the room and board, paying the books, paying the tuition can be a challenge. So I'm sure you probably have counselors waiting at the ready to kind of guide them through that process.
So this builds on something that we've already been doing within the district. We have our Heart of Detroit tuition pledge that covers standardized tuition and fees for all Detroiters. So they don't have to worry about tuition and standardized fees, but not all students know that, right? Or they don't know if they're eligible for various guarantee programs that many, institutions may have across the state when they're trying to figure out income. Our Heart of Detroit tuition pledge doesn't matter if your household earns $25,000 a year, $250,000 a year. Tuition and standard fees are covered at Wayne State University.
That's incredible. Another thing that I often hear from students is that getting into college is one thing. Figuring out what their major is going to be is another.
Yeah.
So what kind of career counseling or your major counseling do you offer so kids can kind of figure out what their path is going to be?
One of the things I love about Wayne State is because we're an R1 research institution, we have a lot of resources to support students. So our academic advising center has advisors specifically for those students who don't know what they want to major in. So we have what are called exploratory tracks. So a student can
kind of play around for a little bit.
Exactly, for at least the first year. They have 30 credits to try to figure out and have the ability to take courses that might spark their interest and figure out what majors then align with their career aspirations. So we want students to know that it's okay. You don't have to have everything figured out right away. You have time and you have resources and support to assist you.
And we've recently launched, just 2 years ago, our College to Career initiative that's continued to build out pathways earlier and earlier for students to help identify that process. And so just this year, we launched our career maps that starts with students in high school, where they can start working on particular steps that would benefit them in identifying career opportunities, majors that may make sense, and that's mapped out and tracks all the way through their 4-year degree program.
Gotcha. Can we go back to the ELA and the math credits that have to be accomplished? That's in high school, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's something they should work with their high school counselors on?
Yes, and that's also part of the Michigan merit requirement for graduation. So we're not asking them to do anything. It's built into their curriculum already, but that we just want those students to have at least completed those courses before they receive the assured admission invitation.
For us, it just ties into ensuring that we have a holistic viewpoint of that academic credential at that point of review, and that they didn't backload a lot of those courses to their senior year.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I want to give you a platform real quick, and I know you probably have these conversations, but we always hear about U of M, Michigan State. Wayne State is a phenomenal institution, and the research and the programs that you guys have there is just outstanding. I don't think you get all the love that you deserve.
Sure.
So if I'm a student and I'm thinking about because Michigan has I love that we have so many options. It's great. Wayne State should be at the top of the list. Tell me why.
So, yeah, happy to go first.
I was going to let him go first.
To the two schools that you just referenced, those are our other two.
You won't even say the names, will you?
Yeah, you already said it once. Thanks to shout out. But our other R1 peers, right? We're a Research 1 institution, meaning that we're at the highest tier of national research, and we give students access to that from day one on our campus. We're only Research 1 institution in the urban setting.
Okay.
And so we often talk about how we're a campus, not just in the heart of Detroit with porous walls, but that those walls between our campus and the city of Detroit are non-existent. So when we talk about students looking for those career opportunities, looking for opportunities to finance other aspects of their educational experience, you won't find as many work, study, and career opportunities outside of campus as you will here. So being able to play, learn, and live in Detroit is distinctively unique.
I feel like you've given that pitch before.
And I'm a grateful Wayne State alum. I moved here from the west side of Michigan to attend Wayne State for law school. We are a place of opportunity. We have a lot of first-generation students. We're one of the most diverse institutions in the United States and in Michigan, and that really benefits our students to be able to learn from people that are different from them, to learn different perspectives, and as Charles mentioned, to be able to be educated in the city of Detroit and all that that offers. And we have an amazing alumni base as well. So when our students are looking for internships and job opportunities, they have the connections that they need right here in the city. And I think that's phenomenal, and I think that's what really sets us apart.
It is, no doubt about it. Okay, so just to recap here, if I'm a DPS ED student, I have a 3.0 or higher, I have fulfilled those ELA and math credits, I will automatically be notified, and then do I fill out the form, or what happens after that?
Yeah, they'll be invited to the party.
The party?
So to speak. But they'll have about 2.5 months just to submit a very brief online form accepting invitation to the program. Non-binding, meaning if the student decides that they want to go to a different institution later on after graduating high school, no sweat off our backs. But what it does at that particular point in time is, again, gives us the confidence to be following up with them and their families on the various opportunities that will be accessible to them between now and graduation.
So it's up to them to come to the party and
Absolutely.
see if they want to hang out, and then you're not going to keep bothering them after that.
Right.
Awesome.
But we'll be here for them if they so choose.
Yeah, you will. Okay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting
Nice
both
to
of you.
meet you.
And what a great program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, scammers are getting sneakier, and they could be using social to trick you. A new scam promising to pay you back if you lost money using Zelle or Cash App. All you have to do is click a link and fill out a fake government form. We're going to show you how it works and what you should watch for so you don't get yourself scammed when we come back. Welcome back, 9:15 here on Monday. We are learning to be more skeptical online, but some clever scammers are learning new ways to fly under our radar. Consumer Reports wants you to be on the lookout for the latest scam going around. It offers to pay you influencers on TikTok and Instagram videos, saying if you were scammed out of money and use Zelle or Cash App, simply click the link to fill out a government form and poof, you'll get your cash back. Rhonda Walker talked to shoppers in Livonia, and they all admit they've been targeted by scams, and some have even fell for it.
I want to know what you think of it and if you would fall for it. Listen up. If you have Zelle, stop here and listen. You need to go to the CFPB website and put in a complaint. Back in 2017, Cash App, all this stuff is booming, so a lot of fraud was happening. Whether it happened to you or not, go put in a claim, because they about to have to run you that check. CFPB suing them.
Okay. So what do you think about that?
Most things on social media is a scam to me. And I would have to go research that first before I go click a link.
I could see people falling for that.
That's exactly why Consumer Reports has a new warning. No windfall is coming, and it is a complete scam to get you to click on those links and ultimately lure you into paying these influencers for help that is also never coming.
Victims of scams on peer-to-peer payment platforms like Zelle or Cash App may try anything to get their money back. Enter Daraine Delavante and Gilbert Graham Jr., two social media influencers who have racked up millions of views, incorrectly claiming that filing a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau will get you a payout from these companies, even claiming that you could be compensated even if you weren't a scam victim.
Whether it happened to you or not, go put in a claim, because they about to have to run you that check.
They make it sound easy, even offering complaint templates for $77 or a credit repair guide for $24.99.
So with the CFPB losing funding, there's just not much oversight right now. And these influencers are jumping on that. They're really going after people who are struggling financially.
Graham did not respond to CR's request for comment. Delavante says Cash App and Zelle are unfairly targeting him to divert attention away from their own shortcomings in combating online fraud and scams.
If you bought their financial products or follow their advice, the best thing to do is to contact the FTC, the CFPB, and your state attorney general.
Zelle says consumers were duped through social media into filing complaints based on a fabricated settlement, while Cash App says that it has made significant improvements to how we identify and act on customer complaints. CR has tips to keep you safe from payment platform scams. First, be skeptical of posts promising easy money. Scammers use urgency and emotion to trick you. And before sending any money online, slow down. Double check who you're paying and what you're paying for.
Now, Consumer Reports also recommends when filing a complaint, you should be including dates, amounts, and bank statements specifics that strengthen your case. Well, right now, one of the strongest storms this year is tearing through the Philippines. Tens of thousands forced to evacuate, and now much of southern China is bracing for impact. We're going to show you the track of the super typhoon coming up. One of the strongest storms of the year is pounding the northern Philippines. Experts say Super Phytene Ragasa has exploded into a Category 5 storm with winds topping 165 miles an hour. Torrential rains, life-threatening storm surges, and destructive flooding have forced more than 10,000 people to evacuate. The storm is now tracking west, putting Taiwan, Hong Kong, and southern China on high alert with flight cancellations and emergency plans already in motion. Here at home, all we're dealing with are cooler temperatures. Fall is set to begin in about 5 hours from now. Ashley has a look at some rainy forecasts for the next couple of days.
Now, forewarned weather with ExactTrack 4D.
Well, as we look at your weather story, we have the autumnal equinox at 2:19 this afternoon, where it'll officially be the fall season. However, we'll get a little bump in temperatures for the first full day of fall before we have a more seasonal stretch, low 70s in the forecast. But off and on rain chances are sticking around all week long. So the rain chances, as you see here, a bit more widespread today and certainly scattered, so not a complete week washout that we have on tap. But you'll want to keep that umbrella close by. And so for today, 75 for the afternoon high, with those chances lingering off and on and becoming maybe a little more prevalent into the evening, where you could get a brief heavy downpour or some gusty winds. But I think overall, any thunderstorms that develop should stay below the threshold of severe limits. So high forecast for tomorrow, 78. That does take us back well above average, but then we fall back into the low 70s midweek and beyond. Hour by hour look at what's ahead throughout the day, and you can see how it's very spotty. This is more of just an inconvenient passing shower that'll be in pockets as we go throughout the rest of your afternoon and even into the next couple days for that matter. Now, the earliest freeze that we've ever had was on this date in 1974. Now, the good news is we don't have freezing or sub-freezing temperatures in the forecast this week. Typically, we would average that first freeze October 25th, but the latest that we've ever had a minimum temperature of 32 degrees or less, that was November 21st last year. Our latest first freeze was last year, if you recall. Now, we are seeing the daylight time dwindling. In fact, in 4 more days, we'll have less than 12 hours of daylight, so we'll have more darkness than daylight. The autumnal equinox is this afternoon at 2:19 p.m. And that's where nearly all latitudes have daylight, equal amounts of daylight and darkness. So over the next couple days, we'll see pretty much equal amounts until we get to the 26th. So fall foliage forecast, since we are officially going to be in fall this afternoon, well, we'll have to wait and see, but projections have the Upper Peninsula peaking around October 6th. Same with northern lower Michigan and southeast Michigan around October 13th. Now, we did get a little jump start with the fall color trend because of the cooler temperatures to start the month. Then we had the really dry stretch, which made some of those leaves pretty crisp. But hopefully, with the rain that we're getting this week and the temperatures beginning to fall, we'll start to see more vibrant color over the next couple of weeks. So your 7-day forecast, pretty active pattern through Friday. We'll be in the low 70s Wednesday and beyond. And then this weekend, as it stands right now, looking to trend a little drier, as high temperatures will be in the mid 70s. So you can give that air conditioning a break.
I certainly will, Ashley. Thank you much. A record-setting anime, a struggling new horror, and what critics say is a box office slump. What's driving moviegoers to be pretty picky this fall? Well, the investor pool for the U.S.-China TikTok deal may now include conservative media baron Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan. That's according to an announcement from President Trump over the weekend. He added the heads of Oracle and Dell Technologies will likely be included, as well. Trump and China's president spoke Friday about the plan to give the U.S. an ownership stake in the popular social media platform. TikTok's parent company ByteDance has until December 16th to divest its U.S. operations or face the app being banned here in the U.S. Well, after 2 hot September weekends of the movies, the box office hit the brakes. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle held on to the top spot with $17 million, making it the highest grossing anime film ever in North America. And the new football horror film Him, produced by Jordan Peele's company, opened in second with a $13.5 million price tag, but audiences and critics were pretty harsh. The Conjuring: Last Rites followed close behind with $13 million, and it's now the biggest film in that franchise worldwide. Overall, ticket sales were down nearly 50% from last week. Well, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce's wallet is probably feeling a little bit tighter right now. That's because the NFL has fined him more than $14,000 for an obscene gesture he made during last week's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. The league claims he made the gesture after he caught a pass for 23 yards and then ran down the visiting Philly sideline while pointing to his groin. The Chiefs ended up losing the game to the Eagles 20-17. It was a rematch of last year's Super Bowl, which the Eagles also won. Nissan Motor is unveiling a new electric vehicle, but also cutting back on production. The 2026 Leaf EV features a complete body style remodel. The former compact car will now be more like an SUV to better compete with rivals by Hyundai, Tesla, and Ford. It also aims to be priced more competitively, starting around $29,000, but buying one could be tough, following a global EV battery shortage. Nissan says this is forcing them to reduce their 2026 Leaf production by more than half this fall. Well, coming up, our Trade Up series shining a spotlight on the demand for skilled trade workers. A Clinton Township couple isn't just talking about the shortage, they are taking action. They're joining us to share how their training programs help people earn while they learn.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey everybody, 9:30 on the dot here. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you so much for watching. Before we get to anything else, I want to take you to the big board over on Wall Street, which opened just about 47 seconds ago, currently down 0.36%. But as we always say, things could change, especially after being open for only a minute. We are coming off the heels of Friday's close, where Wall Street capped off the week with more record highs. The S&P 500 rose 0.5%. The Dow rose 0.37%. The NASDAQ rose 0.72%. Well, our Trade Up series is always highlighting the need for skilled trade workers. We recently met a Clinton Township business owner who didn't just sound the alarm about the shortage. He told our Kimberly Gill how he and his wife are working to create opportunities for people to earn while they learn.
When it comes to protecting your home, it's a sound no one wants to hear until the moment it matters most. Behind every alert are technicians who build, test, and program life-saving security systems. In Clinton Township, Home Run Alarm Company is training the next generation of technicians while paying them to learn.
Finding workers are one thing. Finding someone wanting to better themselves for a career in the next 2 to 5 years, the calendar will still present itself. But where will you be yourself in any trade, especially in the fire alarm trade?
When owner Greg Deloney couldn't find experienced workers, he created Safety Tech, the Security and Fire Alarm Trades Institute of Michigan. Navy vet Jordan Dara joined the program for its Earn While You Learn approach.
My big focus here was to actually specialize, be able to see something for my future. I'm Greg's shadow, so I go around and do a little bit of everything. This is his panel here, and then I train off of the one back here. So I'm wiring up panels here in the shop, and then I also go out in the field and get hands-on with anything and everything out there.
Deloney's commitment to the program also led him to apply for grants and funding from the Workforce Innovation Occupation Act, which helps give the apprentices the right tools for success.
We're able to credit our program for other grants, which exceed $3,500 for their apprentice to have for cost of tools, boots, clothing, even car repair or daycare for themselves.
The tuition-free program requires no experience, just commitment and determination. In just 30 days, Jordan became a licensed apprentice qualified to wire systems that protect lives.
It is absolutely critical for people to be in buildings that they've gotten compliant and that it's going to be a safe environment for everyone to be in. And I like being a part of that.
Well, it just so happens that purely by circumstance, we have Greg Deloney and his wife Michelle here to talk more about this program and the training and the company. First of all, what a great idea. And it makes a lot of sense. Yes. You know, I think home alarms are one of those things that all businesses have to have, at least the fire, right? The intrusion is a luxury, but a lot of people should have that too. Yeah. But it's one of those things that you don't really think about as far as the trades to install. We think about electricians, we think about plumbers, think about but you know, putting that something in isn't something you think about going to school for. But this program we've put together kind of solves that problem, doesn't it?
It's a passion, first off, that we are able to help others and see the fruits of our labor. Yeah. We started 25 years ago to get to this point, right. And we're here. Thank you for having us.
How many I'll call them students, but you know, technicians have you kind of raised through the program?
There's been 4 to 5 right now. We have one permanent that's on board doing really well. Gotcha. On his like 5th month right now.
Michelle, what is it like for you to kind of see these, I'll call them kids, but I'm sure they're not, you know, but to see these folks kind of dive into something that they really didn't know existed and now they've got a career out of it?
It's amazing watching them grow. You see them come from not knowing anything about electricians, even how to hold a screwdriver, some of them, and now they're able to do that, and they're flourishing, and that's what makes us proud as owners to see that.
I don't know anything about your world in terms of how it works or where the wires go or what you plug into where, but it seems to me like a job like this probably could translate into many other types of install jobs.
It's regulated by the government. This facility itself, if you look around, the sprinkler system is monitored to a fire alarm system. Yeah. So all the lights and the notifications, appliances, if you're in the restroom, there'll be just lights flashing because it'll be too loud, or if you're in the larger areas, there'll be sirens and strobe lights. Okay. So all that is regulated, designed. So after the graduation of this course, you get into the design aspect, where I'm an AutoCAD engineer designer now for the firms. Kidding. So every plan has to be pre-approved by the government and municipalities before we install them.
And it seems like there's probably a lot of job security in this because every building has to have it.
Well, it's to have your licensing in Michigan, it's under the electrical department. For the Bureau of Construction Codes. You must first become a level 2 fire alarm tech. So our school will will gradually get people through, and it offsets them with through Michigan Works to allow them to have funds for books, for expenses, for even car repair and daycare.
Really? So does it really cost them anything to go to the program?
Absolutely nothing, and they're paid right from day one, and they receive an apprentice card from the state within 30 days.
No kidding.
The cards that you get, I just happened, look at how it works. You become a licensed Fire 1 technician before you can then move on to level 2, and then you sit
and you've got them all.
And then you sit for the state. So I did the road, but it was without any mentoring, or I had to do it myself.
What was that like without anybody to help you kind of navigate that?
And then the city of Detroit approved us too.
Look at that.
So if I did it, I think someone else can do it, but no one told me how to do it.
Right.
It was in the legislature. I had to read everything to see how to become a fire alarm specialty technician, because it's a catch-22. You have to be licensed as a fire alarm contractor to have a fire alarm specialty technician, or you can't be a specialty technician unless you work for a fire alarm contractor. So I became both.
Oh, gotcha.
And then with the licensing through the USDOL, in Washington, D.C., they approved me to have an apprenticeship for.
No kidding. I want to hold it. We're going to hold this up, and we'll see if we can get a shot of it, but the glares aren't always iPads are tough.
That's the lottery ticket.
This is it.
That's the lottery ticket.
So this is it. The U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship Certificate of Registration of the program. So you're legit. That's what this says.
We're the only ones. We're pioneers in Michigan.
You're the only ones in Michigan?
Yeah. You can go to plumbing school, electrical school, HVAC school. There's no fire alarm technician training school till now.
Okay, so I'm guessing this was your idea.
It's sick.
Right? All right, so when he came to you and said, listen, Michelle.
Oh, no, don't please tell her, ask her anymore.
I have to hear the story.
When he came to me as like another idea. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? But I've trusted everything in him. Our company's ran for over 25 years because of what we have done together. Yeah. So the trust factor's there, but I let him go for what he needs to do.
Yeah, there's the level.
And it's proven what we've done and what he's done. This is a 4-year course, 2 to 4 year. He did it in 2 years and 3 months.
Okay.
He pushed himself to do it.
Okay.
So the technician, it's unbelievable. They can do it in 2 years. They can take 4 years.
So are you looking for people that have a little bit of background in something, or will you take a newbie who doesn't know how to hold a screwdriver, like you said?
It's character development and integrity, first off.
So you want to know what kind of person they are.
Yes. When I get the right person, we can put them on the bus. The name of the acronym is Safety Tech. So it's an offshoot of our company, the parent company, Home Run.
Okay.
Home Run is a wiring term used in the electrical trades.
Yep.
Where a wire
directly to
is
the panel,
not
right?
broken at all. It's a home run.
Yep.
And being Dominican descent, viva mi gente. Llámame por favor. I want to
He's run a baseball about a dozen times sitting here.
Can you tell?
Baseball is the only sport. There's no. I mean, it'll be 0-0 for 4 days until somebody scores a run. I mean, that's my kind of life. I mean, so every day I don't ever know what to expect. I'm just going to go out there and the curveballs, throw them the harder, the faster. So it took 10 years for me to come up with the logo, and we don't advertise. Our names are not on our trucks. We only have been word of mouth in 25 years.
And look what you've done over 25 years.
The clientele we have, if I were to spread one last aspect to you, we span even to northern Indiana.
Oh, look at that.
So
there's an old school printout of a map for you. Yeah. It's like MapQuest back in the day.
Well, it's hard for me to get away from index cards. I mean, those are the best invention ever. I may have some ready for you.
Okay, so anybody who's watching this right now and they're thinking that they'd love to sign up and be your next student, what's the best way to do it? How do they get a hold of you?
That's where my wife comes in.
That's where Michelle comes in, right? Okay. So how do we call you, Michelle?
You can call me at 313-640-5810, and you also can go on homerunalarm.com, which will bring you to Safety Tech. Little emblem down there, you click on it, fill out the information, and it comes right to my info, and I will be glad to send them out an application at that time.
So I can go on the website, kind of get my feelers going here. Once we connect, fill out the applications, join the school, and then somewhere in 2 to 4 years, I can be a certified technician and not spend a dime to do it.
Yes.
And actually get paid to do it.
And get paid to do it, absolutely.
What is this?
So if you look at it.
This is the roadmap for an apprentice from the minute they come into 4 years later.
Okay.
And in breakdown, it's like the first year there's a 40K base, all the way to 80K base.
So,
and this could be
so 5 years after you have finished school, you could be making $80,000 a year.
and beyond if you become the Bureau of Fire Services and you do the design. This piece of paper right here.
Oh, okay.
This is after
So this is just for
everything.
installation technicians. If you want to design it, you can make even more money.
Yes.
I'm a fire protection designer now.
Look at you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right?
So help me help
I'll stay in the office. Thank
I
you.
need to help you, right? All right, you guys, thank you so much. I want to put it full screen up on the screen there just so you can see all the information. Trade Up, powered by Carhartt. That's what's happening as we interview all these businesses, organizations, and schools just like this one, creating a pipeline into skilled trades. Thank you again. What a phenomenal idea. Thank you so much.
We really felt at home. Thank you, Lord.
If you are interested, you can watch for all these stories that we've done, including today's, right here on Local 4 Plus, and click on Detroit.com. We also have a spotlight on people working in the skilled trades industries with help from our sponsor Carhartt across all of our platforms. Again, thank you so much for coming in. When we come back, world leaders are gathering in New York for the UN General Assembly. Ukraine's President Zelensky says he will sit down with President Trump as tensions with Russia continue to escalate. Coming up, what this high-stakes meeting could mean on a global stage. Welcome back, 9:43 here on Monday. It has been nearly 2 weeks since activist Charlie Kirk's assassination at Utah Valley University. Now his loved ones, including President Trump and Vice President Vance, are saying goodbye. NBC's Jay Gray is in Kirk's home state of Arizona with a look at the thousands of people who gathered for his memorial service.
Part church service, then part political rally. 95,000 or more gather in Glendale, Arizona Sunday, pulled there by Charlie Kirk's message and to share one of their own.
I believe everybody should have the right to free speech and not get shot for it here in the United States in 2025.
The 31-year-old activist and influencer, remembered by friends, fans, and colleagues as a Christian and conservative martyr.
Charlie was not silenced. His movement is only beginning.
A message echoed as a half-dozen members of President Trump's cabinet and Vice President J.D. Vance, one by one, stepped to the stage, followed by Kirk's widow, Erica.
And I will miss him. I will miss him so much.
Wrought with emotion, she shares the pain of her loss, leaning on her faith, she says, to forgive the man accused of killing her husband and promising to grow their message and mission.
Every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
President Trump closing the more than 5-hour memorial.
I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
His eulogy, at times spinning into a discussion of his administration's initiatives and swipes at political opponents,
The radical left lunatics,
including former President Joe Biden, before calling Kirk's widow back to the stage to a standing ovation as a banner of her late husband is unfurled from the stadium's rafters. Jay Gray, NBC News, Glendale, Arizona.
Meanwhile, world leaders gather for the UN General Assembly in New York City. Among them, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, who says he is meeting with President Trump during the assembly. The meeting comes as tensions rise between the U.S. and Russia, with President Trump promising to defend the Baltic states and Poland if Russia attacks. Experts are saying the president will sooner or later have to pick a side.
Sooner or later, if this kind of provocation happens, we're going to have some kind of incident that will prompt a crisis. And that crisis will force President Trump, I suspect, to think about which side they want to take.
All right, we are tracking Hurricane Gabriel this morning. The storm just strengthened in the Atlantic and is now a Category 1 hurricane. Coming up, where it's headed next and the dangers it could bring along the East Coast. Let's take a live look in Bermuda right now. It is nice right now, but experts say Hurricane Gabriel is picking up strength in the Atlantic and moving north. The National Hurricane Center upgraded Gabriel from a tropical storm to a hurricane over the weekend. The storm is closest to Bermuda right now. The storm has winds around 75 miles per hour, but it is expected to get stronger over the next day. Here at home, we are dealing with what's going to be fall-like temperatures and some rain that is lingering for several days into your forecast. Hey, Ash.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, as we look at your weather story, we have the autumnal equinox at 2:19 this afternoon, where it'll officially be the fall season. However, we'll get a little bump in temperatures for the first full day of fall before we have a more seasonal stretch, low 70s in the forecast. But off and on rain chances are sticking around all week long. So the rain chances, as you see here, a bit more widespread today and certainly scattered, so not a complete week washout that we have on tap. But you'll want to keep that umbrella close by. And so for today, 75 for the afternoon high, with those chances lingering off and on and becoming maybe a little more prevalent into the evening, where you could get a brief heavy downpour or some gusty winds. But I think overall, any thunderstorms that develop should stay below the threshold of severe limits. So high forecast for tomorrow, 78. That does take us back well above average, but then we fall back into the low 70s midweek and beyond. Hour by hour look at what's ahead throughout the day, and you can see how it's very spotty. This is more of just an inconvenient passing shower that'll be in pockets as we go throughout the rest of your afternoon and even into the next couple days for that matter. Now, the earliest freeze that we've ever had was on this date in 1974. Now, the good news is we don't have freezing or sub-freezing temperatures in the forecast this week. Typically, we would average that first freeze October 25th, but the latest that we've ever had a minimum temperature of 32 degrees or less, that was November 21st last year. Our latest first freeze was last year, if you recall. Now, we are seeing the daylight time dwindling. In fact, in 4 more days, we'll have less than 12 hours of daylight, so we'll have more darkness than daylight. The autumnal equinox is this afternoon at 2:19 p.m. And that's where nearly all latitudes have daylight, equal amounts of daylight and darkness. So over the next couple days, we'll see pretty much equal amounts until we get to the 26th. So fall foliage forecast, since we are officially going to be in fall this afternoon, well, we'll have to wait and see, but projections have the Upper Peninsula peaking around October 6th, same with northern lower Michigan and southeast Michigan around October 13th. Now, we did get a little jump start with the fall color trend because of the cooler temperatures to start the month. Then we had the really dry stretch, which made some of those leaves pretty crisp, but hopefully with the rain that we're getting this week and the temperatures beginning to fall, we'll start to see more vibrant color over the next couple of weeks. So your 7-day forecast, pretty active pattern through Friday. We'll be in the low 70s Wednesday and beyond. And then this weekend, as it stands right now, looking to trend a little drier as high temperatures will be in the mid 70s. So you can give that air conditioning a break.
All right, Ash, thank you much. When we come back, Tati from Live at the D is going to be here to talk about what's happening on their show, and we'll take a look at our My Pick of the Day submitted by you when we come back. Welcome back. You send them, we show them. That's our mantra for our My Picks of the Day. Who's this? Today's My Pick is from, I'm going to butcher your name, I apologize, but from Tannery in Grosse Pointe. Is that, what do you think? Tannery? 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 Okay. Either way, this is a photo showing a picture of her favorite four-legged friend. Oh, such a baby. Remember, anyone can submit these types of photos under the My Picks tab over at clickondetroit.com. So much more coming up here throughout the day on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus. Tati flew in because she wanted to see that puppy.
I want that puppy. So shout out to the owners out there. If you ever get tired of it, just hit us up here at WDIV. Yeah. I will take him off your hands.
In. Maybe a little comfort dog running around.
Did you see that face?
That would comfort anybody.
That would. That really would.
All right, Live at the D is an hour and 5 minutes away. What do you got?
All right, here's the big question. We're discussing it on What's the Buzz today. Are you cheap or are you frugal?
Oh.
I feel like that immediately made you uncomfortable. Let's talk about it. Because there's a difference, is there not?
There is.
What would you say is the difference?
Frugal is just being careful with your money and spending it wisely. Cheap is just not wanting to buy things at all.
Right, and not
Is that
buying
fair?
quality things. I agree with you.
Yeah, okay.
So we're gonna kind of break that down. We're gonna ask people to be honest. Like, have you ever done anything that's cheap? Or are you kind of guilty of being cheap about certain things? Because I can get cheap, and then what happens is I end up spending more in the long run.
See, that's a good conversation because you could buy the knockoff product and be cheap about it, but then you're going to end up buying the good one later on down the road. You buy it twice.
You buy it twice, maybe 3 times, because I'll be like, maybe that knockoff wasn't good. I just need another one.
Another knockoff? That's not how this works.
I know.
You got to learn one lesson.
I'm trying. He's like, that's not how this works. He's like, I thought you were smarter than that. I'm learning.
Now, are you frugal?
I am frugal.
You are. Are you like a penny pincher, like down to the penny, or do you coupon?
I don't coupon, but I know how to find a good deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because listen, everything is so expensive. Money does not grow on trees. We work really hard for our paychecks.
I'm not good with the coupons, though.
You're not?
I can't with the clipping and all that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I think they're all digital now, to be honest.
Are they? I haven't tried them lately.
Yeah, see?
I do like racking up like the gas points at Kroger, though.
That's important. See, that's more me. Like, let's rack up the points.
There you go. But see, I know people who will specifically go to like Kroger or Meijer to buy gift cards for other stores.
Correct.
So they can rack up the gas points and go spend the gift cards at, whatever, TJ Maxx, whatever
Absolutely. There's levels to this. You should hear my mom's strategy with her Sam's Club or her Costco card.
Really?
She gets a check back at the end of the year.
She does not.
I promise you. I'll tell you the whole thing when we're going to break because we're getting the rap signal.
Okay, we got the wrap. Anything else on the show?
Oh, of course. Coleman A. Young celebrating his 70th anniversary. That is happening tomorrow. We're going to get a preview of all of the festivities today on the show. And so much more. Just tune into Live in the D. Greg Russell is my guest host this week. It'll be a great time.
We got Greg all week?
I know.
Oh, boy. Okay, Live in the D starts in an hour and 2 minutes now right here on Local 4 Plus and on Local 4. Make it a great Monday, everybody.